In this video, I look at how different size softboxes can create different soft lighting effects.
AdoramaTV presents Take and Make Great Photography with Gavin Hoey.
Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching AdoramaTV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that has everything for us photographers. And in this video, we're going to have a look at soft light and how it changes according to, well, which light modifier you use. Now, let me start by defining soft light. Soft light is all about the shadows and how quickly they grade from shadow to highlight. The softer the light, the smoother the blend from shadow to highlight. And that's what we're trying to achieve generally with portraits is soft lighting. Unless you have a specific need for hard lighting, soft is the way to go. Now, to achieve it, you need to modify your flash. And as you can see, there are various modifiers you can use. The bigger the light source relative to the subject, the softer the light becomes. Keep that in mind as we go through the video, and I'm going to try each of these different light modifiers and see how they affect a portrait. Now, to do that, of course, we need a model, so let me go and get one. So today I'm joined in the studio by Brian. Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
And he's going to be my model for today. And really, we're going to start by doing some test shots. And this is a great thing to do if you're fairly new to lighting. Get your lighting, get somebody brave like Brian to stand in front of your camera and take some pictures and see how the size of your light affects the softness. All of these shots are going to be taken with the same flash. This is the Flashpoint RoveLight 600 from Adorama. And I'm going to try and get everything the same. So it's about 1 meter away from Brian. And we're going to try and keep all of the shots with the same distance from the front of the light to Brian. And all of the shots around about f8, just to try and keep everything as close as I can. Now, the first light modifier I'm going to use is just a standard reflector. Now, this shouldn't give soft light, this should give the opposite, hard light, but it gives us a benchmark to work from. Okay, let's take a shot and see how it comes out. Okay, here we go. So looking at that picture, the light is very hard. That means the shadows have a very clear, defined edge, which is exactly what you would expect from a standard reflector. Now, we're trying to get soft light, so increasing the size of the light source relative to the subject is what we need to do. So let's get rid of this small reflector and put something just a little bit bigger on. So for the second shot, I've switched over to one of the glow softboxes. This is one of the parabolic ones, and it's a little bit bigger in size than our reflector, but also it's got a soft front covering as well. So those two things alone should give us softer light. But let's see. Okay, Brian, here we go. So, same shot as before. Brilliant. And one more. Yeah, and straight away you can see how much softer the light is and how much more it spreads out. The shadows are more gentle. That is instantly a much more flattering light if you're after soft light. But it's still quite a small light modifier. Let's try something just a little bit bigger. So as you can see, we've gone up a size in softbox. This one is a little bit bigger again, and it should, in theory, give us a little bit softer light. Let's take the shot. Yep, and sure enough, the light is just that extra little bit softer. Not enormously, because we're still doing quite a tight head and shoulders shot, but a difference is definitely there. Okay, let's swap it out to the last light modifier, which is a giant softbox. So for the last light in this little setup, I'm using this massive softbox. This is the Westcott 7-foot Parabolic Umbrella, and I've got the diffusing cover on it as well. This is a huge light source, and in theory, therefore, a soft light source. It's still the same 1 meter distance from Brian. It's still metering f8. Let's take a shot. Here we go. And again. Yeah, much, much softer. Clearly this is an incredibly large light source and it's very close to our subject, so it's not surprising that this is the softest light of all. Now, looking at some of the results, you might be wondering whether you need such a huge light source, because on the head and shoulder shots, some of those smaller softboxes gave pretty good results. So why would you want such a large softbox? Well, let me take another shot and I'll show you why. So let's come back here and I'll do a full length shot. Yeah, okay, so I've got beautiful soft lighting on my full length shot, and I have a giant softbox in the way. And it wouldn't matter whether I'm using a big softbox or a small softbox. If you want to go full length, then you need to move your light further away. So let's put that into practice. Let's see what happens if I move this light further away. So let's put it right at the end of the studio. So it's much further away than it was before. Now I need to remeter for that, because of course if you move the light or you move the subject away from the light, the amount of light hitting them will change, so you need to remeter to find out what the correct exposure is. Okay, so it needs to be a little bit brighter. It's measuring f3.6. Let's just try that again. Okay, we're back to f8. So even though the light is now much further back, the softness on Brian is still there, because relative to the size of Brian, that light source is still quite big. So that's the advantage of a giant softbox, is you can push it way back out of your shot, which means you don't see it if you want to do a full length shot. Okay, Brian, are you ready to do a shoot? Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's give that a flick and a... Okay, are you ready on 3? Ready? 1, 2, 3. That's pretty good. I love that. Can we go again? 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that if you could. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got it, yeah. Up towards that light in the ceiling. So there we go, we've got a whole range of different shots there. All we need to do now is to get my favourite shot into Photoshop and do a little bit of editing, and we're going to do that right now.
Don't forget to check out Adorama's latest contest and your chance to win amazing prizes.
It really is amazing what you can do with just one light. And if you've got access to a range of light modifiers, you can change and shape and adjust the light in all sorts of ways. Now, the modifier I loved on this shoot was that giant 7-foot parabolic umbrella from Westcott. It gave some fantastic soft lighting. Have a look. So you can see this soft lighting in action by looking at the shadows, particularly around the back of the chair here. Notice how the shadow very quickly blurs and disappears. That's soft lighting in action. Now I can make things even slightly softer by adjusting the contrast, because with soft lighting you're thinking contrast, and if I pull it down slightly, then that adds to that soft lighting feel. Thing is, I do like a bit of contrast in my pictures, so I'm going to come down to clarity and I'm going to increase the clarity. Now that will put some contrast back into the picture, but only on the mid-tones, so it'll pick up details on the material and the textures here, rather than changing the whole contrast. I also like to play around with my colours a little bit too, so I'll just pull down the vibrance and pull up the saturation, again just to lower the general colour scheme but make sure it doesn't go too monochromatic. So that gives me the look I'm after, but one of the downsides of softboxes is sometimes the light can spread over a large area and lose a little bit of control. Now, if you catch my next video, I'll show you how to add back control by using a grid on your softbox, so you can do the fix in camera. I'm going to fix things in Photoshop on this image. So to do it, I'm going to use some of the local adjustment tools. Now these are the ones along the top here where we have the radial filter, the graduated filter and the adjustment brush. Now I've got access to the radial filter here in Photoshop CC 2014, so I'll start there And I'm just going to decrease the exposure, maybe a stop and a half-ish, 2 stops, something like that. I'm just going to drag out a little oval shape, and we'll bring that down. And you can see that that just adds a little bit more drama to the lighting. Now I can change the exposure if I need to and tweak things. I've set this so it works on the outside only. Now if you don't have that filter, or you want to use a different filter, there's the graduated filter, and that will do something very similar. In this case I've already added the radial, so I'll use a little bit less. Let's use maybe 3/4 of a stop, and we can just drag down some little grads just like that, just again to add some drama to what was quite a blank background. Now it is starting to affect Brian's a little bit too much there, so for a little bit more fine tuning I'm going to get the adjustment brush, and I'll increase the exposure a tiny little bit, and I'll open up the shadows a little bit, and we'll just put some little spots and dots just to highlight a few places in the picture like that. There we go. Now again, just bring some of that picture back through. Now once you've made a few adjustments like that, you might find you need to jump back into the basic panel, and maybe in this case just increase the whites, just so I return my colors, so I have a nice full range of tones from deep shadows to bright whites in the image. There is my final picture completed. So there we go, the size of the light source will make your light softer or harder, as will the distance. And when you play around with it, you'll get some great shots. Now, if you want to see more videos from myself and the other amazing presenters here on Adorama TV, you've got to click on the subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey, thanks for watching.
Do you want great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy-to-use online printing service. Adorama Pix has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use AdoramaPix.com.